Okay, we're going to get started because we've asked for just 30 minutes of your time and we want to make sure we get our full 30 minutes. Welcome. We are very, very, very grateful that you can be here because this is going to be an exciting year and we are excited to communicate with you where we're headed and hear from you what you think you'd like us to do to be able to best support your child. My name is Cherie Barton and I'm one of the 2 gifted and talented coordinators in our district. I've been teaching for, I can't remember now, 34 years, and I am just love it, and I'm not ready to be done yet, so I'm glad that you're willing to share your kids with me so I can keep doing it. I've taught almost everything from kindergarten to 6th grade, and been working with the Gift and Talent program for 10 years. And actually, go ahead, Sarah. Before I could move on, I really wanted to introduce our administrative support over here, Mr. Lefevre. He is our special services director.
And receipt writer.
And he is an amazing supporter for our Gift and Talent program, so we're excited to have him. And Mark Bates, thank you for coming. Mr. Bates from Adams. Okay.
Yes, and I'm Sarah Jones, and I'm the other Gifted and Talented coordinator. I've taught since 2011, started in 3rd grade, 2nd grade, and 3rd grade. I've taught 5th and 6th grade, and now I've had the opportunity to work in the Gifted and Talented program. This is my 2nd year in the program. And something that I've loved about it, and not just Gifted and Talented, but in education in general, is I feel like the reason I get so much energy from it is because I leave every day feeling like I'm learning so much from the kids. And I know that sounds so cliche, but I really do. I learn life experiences from them as well. And so anyway, that's essentially
and while we're talking, if you could, we'll send this to you in an email if you'd rather do this later. But this is a little survey that we'd like you to, not really a survey, I'm sorry, that's not right. It's just an information page that we'd like to learn more about your child from you. So we can email this to you, or you can get your phone out and copy it down and start working on it while we're talking if you're a multitasker or whatever. But it's just tinyurl.com/Madison Discovery.
It's very helpful for us because we really try to individualize the instruction based on individual needs of the students. So the more information you can give us that you're comfortable giving us, the more we're able to really help your child. So. Okay. This program, we are evolving with it. We actually went back and looked at what we presented last year at the orientation, and things have changed dramatically since then. And I feel like every single year we're never going to have the same orientation because the program is always going to be changing because the children's needs are always changing. And that's our approach in general in the classroom as well. Is we might have a plan in place, but as soon as we get to the classroom and we're asking these questions to students, whatever their answers are, we're going to base what we learn off of those.
And part of what we're evolving as well is based on most current research, which is really quickly changing, and we're very focused now more so than ever before on children's social and emotional needs, and listening to what the gifted and talented child needs socially and emotionally.
Yes.
So that's part of our evolution.
They need that academic rigor, and that's part of a huge purpose of what we do. But we're really trying to shift the foundation of it. Rather than the foundation being academics, our foundation is that social, emotional well-being and mental well-being, so that they can thrive out in society and use these skills that they have and these capabilities, and actually put what they do learn in academics to practice and become producers. So,
we are identifying students who, when compared with their peers, have a higher cognitive score. Now, after teaching for 20 plus years, I didn't really understand what that meant. So we're going to have some parent nights, and we're going to invite you to help us explore and learn more about what that means. But I'm going to try and give you a nutshell, really fast little, and then we can talk a little more later. But I just want you to know that on a cognitive assessment, there's no math, there's no reading, there's no science. Often we'll get teachers saying, oh, we have the student who's reading way above their reading level, they must be gifted. On a cognitive assessment, we're looking at problem solving, We're looking at the ways that students make analogies and relationships. And when they look at this shape and this shape go together because why? So how can this shape go with one of these shapes in the same way? That doesn't require math or reading. It's just about how their brains are wired and for learning and for making connections. We often will have students in our gifted and talented program that we are servicing. We are offering services. We are not offering giftedness, okay? This isn't a gifted program as far as like maybe you have a math program where you learn math and a science program where you learn science. We're not a gifted program. We are facilitating services to help the children learn how to use those pathways and those connections to their advantage. And if they don't have an opportunity to use those pathways and connections, they can lose this original thinking that they have. And so that's what we're doing. It does get kind of tricky because I'm going to just be really blunt and bold and raw, and I hope I don't hurt your feelings. But some parents feel like saying my child is gifted is a feather in their cap. But we're going to talk a lot about social and emotional needs of gifted kids. And I'm going to tell you, after working with them for 10 years, it is not always easy. They are wired really strongly for some behaviors, and they have some behaviors they don't want to let go of, and some of them are really OCD, or they're ADD, or they're on the spectrum, and they have all these other things going on too, but they still have that fabulous brain that looks at things upside down and backwards. So we definitely are going to be learning together that having a gifted child can be almost as much of a challenge as it is exciting. So I just want you to keep that in mind as we're talking about students. So when we compare with their peers, we have chosen students that we feel would best benefit from talent development. That's what our goal is developing their talents and wiring those brains the way they're ready to go wired. So I'm sure a lot of you have seen the IQ bell curve and the distribution. And this is why we're under the special services umbrella. This is why Mr. Lefevre is here, who works with all of the special ed teachers in the district who are helping kids who are struggling with reading or math or other things, or speech, or they need help from the school psychologist. That's all Mr. Lefevre's umbrella. He has a big job. You wouldn't believe how many irons he has in the fire. But most of those people are down here on this bottom 5%, right? And the students we've identified are over here on this 5%. And it's really, really hard because there's a lot of kiddos who are 115, 118, even 120, who are amazing students. And their parents and their teachers say, why did they get invited to be in this program? And I say, I don't know. Because other than just what the data tells us, and we're trying to do our best and we make mistakes. And there is such thing as a false low, we've learned, that students can be assessed and they can have a false low. There's almost never a false high. And so if you want to know what your child's raw score was and where they fit on this, email us and we'll give it to you so that you can know that if we haven't already talked to you about that. But we are trying to look for, now, we used to have a cut score in our district that was 130. And we say 130 and above, we're servicing them. But again, one score, one time, and we don't do that either. We look at we get information about their progress in the past, their behaviors in the past in the classroom, all the other data. And I just feel like, personally, just maybe this is research by Cherie, but that there's cream everywhere we go. So geographically speaking, we'll go to Kennedy and look for the cream there. And then we go to Lincoln and look for the cream there. So we are servicing those in that school that probably best, of our knowledge, would benefit from advanced talent development.
And to be clear too, the scores that we have, it's just a screener.
Yeah.
So it's not a full cognitive assessment. So if we do share a score with you, just know that it's just simply a quick snippet of where they might be, a range of where they might be.
Mrs. Jones and I are not school psychologists, and we're not qualified to administer an IQ assessment, but we have been trained on how to do screeners. If a child comes in on the bubble and we're not sure, and the parents and we're having discussions with the teachers, we can ask our school psychologist to do a full IQ assessment. We do have the ability to do that in our district. It's just very, very, very time consuming, and to do that with 350 first graders and 400 third graders, yeah, it wouldn't happen. This is a picture I took the very, very first year I worked with gifted and talented students. And I talked to their parents and asked for permission to use this picture. And I've never asked them after the first time, so I hope they don't mind I keep using it. But it just describes for me the gifted child so well. I mean, I don't know if you can notice that we're writing with a wipe-off marker with a fat tip, but he's getting a lot of great information. If you come up here and look at this, you know, and reading upside down on the table, that is so much what we work with every day. We call parents all the time and say, your child qualified, and they said, but they do this. And well, that's, yeah. And they don't.
Their teacher says they don't focus in class. Their teacher says
and they don't hand their work in. It's like, yeah, okay. The purpose
we want them.
of our discovery program is listed here, but a lot of it I really feel like, and I hope again I don't offend anybody, I'm being really raw, and if you want to come ask me what my philosophy is, you'll get it. I feel like we're partially a behavior modification class, because a lot of these kids come wired with great abilities and connections, and they'll produce and they'll hand things in, and you'll go, wow, I don't have to ever touch this kid. They just fly by themselves. And then about another half of them or more come to us with amazing abilities that we want to tap into, but they haven't really quite wired how to get to the producing and the handing it in and making, really not even so much handing it, but making it into creating something at the end that as a product that they feel like they really learned and reflects what their learning is. I'm going to tell a really quick story. One day, this same year, with not one of these boys, but a different boy, I pulled him on my computer one day and I showed him his grades, and they were almost all Fs. And I said, do you think that these scores reflect what you know? Oh no, Mrs. Barton. I've learned to ask lots of questions and don't tell them what I think. Okay, so what do you think they reflect? Mrs. Barton, sometimes it's a burden to have a big brain. Those aren't my words, those are his. He says, sometimes I'm thinking about so many things I forgot what I was supposed to be thinking about. That's what those grades reflect. So we are trying to help develop their social awareness, their ability to work together, especially rigor, managing failure. We will push them to a point where they're going to be feeling like they're struggling a little. And I'd rather have them struggle a little now while we have this big, huge safety net of parents and administrators and teachers to pick them up than to wait until they get to high school or college.
So, yeah, our overall purpose is to help them access themselves, what they know, and how to produce it. Self-esteem is a really big conversation that we have with a lot of parents. A lot of parents mention how much growth they've seen in their child after being in the program, and helping them recognize and be confident in who they are. Because I think before they're in a program like this, they're a little isolated. They feel different. They recognize they're different and they don't know why. But we're able to help them see who they are and build that confidence through what we do. And along with that, so our program is very fluid. So just because a child is invited this year doesn't necessarily mean that they will be next year. And what we'll do this school year is we'll be so transparent with you, very open, very honest, very raw on how your child is doing. If they are thriving in the classroom, we're going to let you know that they're thriving. If they are coming to Discovery each week and they're struggling, we're going to let you know that they're struggling, and we're going to not just say, oh, if they're struggling, they've got to go back to the regular classroom, they can't come anymore. That's not what we do. Obviously, you see there's lots of struggles that kids deal with. Our goal is to try to provide intervention to help figure out how to handle those struggles so that they can learn those skills, and when they go back to the regular classroom, they practice those skills in that setting as well. But it's huge that we have that communication with each other, that we let you know how it's going, and then also you let us know from the parent perspective, is your child coming home stressed and overwhelmed? We want to know that, because I know one student I had seemed totally fine in the classroom, but at home was just a wreck over it. And after we talked about it, it was a night and day difference for that child and the family. So open communication is just huge. Oh yes, so we've got 2 different programs. They are all under the special services window of gifted and talented, but Discovery targets more the elementary school 2nd and 3rd grade. And that's just a pull-out program for 1.5 hours per week, and it's in each elementary school. So we go around to each elementary school, And then our AIM program is at the middle school, and it's full-time. They're in the classroom full-time. We do have a 4th grade AIM classroom, a 5th grade, and a 6th grade AIM classroom.
And the Discovery program is more enrichment. We're hopefully stimulating curiosity and having a safe space for kids to have a lot of inquiry and learn what to do when you have questions. And in AIM, it is that, but it adds onto it a component of academic rigor. And so, as we assess again at the end of 3rd grade, we'll take into consideration again all the pieces of the puzzle, their classroom performance in their homeroom, in Discovery, and their assessment. And what I've found is 3rd grade is kind of a telling year. And I found that before I even started teaching Gifted and Talented. I used to teach 3rd grade, and I taught kindergarten, and I was amazed at the kids in my class that were catching on so quickly in kindergarten, and then they got to 3rd grade and they plateaued. And they were still great students, but they didn't do, this trajectory that kept going this way. They'd like, whoosh, whoop, and like do this kind of thing, right? And then I had students who might have struggled a little bit in kindergarten. By 3rd grade, they were one of the top readers. So we all have personal development at different times. So before we go to this more rigorous setting, we want to assess the child again. And if we're starting to plateau, then maybe the regular room is exactly where they need to be challenged.
To
feel successful. And maybe if, we have students who we look at their 1st grade score and then we look at their 3rd grade score, we go, whoa, what happened? And those were some of our late bloomers. So we just want to make it really clear that they're 2 separate programs, and that by being invited into Discovery, a child is not automatically invited into AIM. And being invited into AIM doesn't mean that your child will even want to go to AIM. So it's all about what's best for the child, and it's very fluid.
Yep.
So this is a little bit about what we will do in Discovery. The first trimester, we will start a service learning class. And last year, I just loved it because we try to create this background knowledge, and we do some document-based inquiry, and we get the kids asking questions and thinking, and we have an idea where we want to go, but we're trying to let them discover it. And last year, I'll never forget, we were reading this article about senior citizens and how when they were in nursing homes during COVID, how isolated they were and how lonely they were, and the different things they were trying to do to not get discouraged or be so isolated. And we're reading this, and one little 2nd grader, Mrs. Barton, this is awful. We have to do something about this. I'm like, yes, that's exactly where I was trying to guide them to, but we have these big ahas where the kids just come to it naturally because of their curious brain and they're making connections. I mean, I wasn't telling them we were going there, but they actually led me there, and that's exactly where I wanted to go.
We do topics that are relevant to them, to their little minds.
Yeah, and to our community.
Yeah.
And then secondly, our 2nd trimester, we focus on STEM activities, and often the STEM activities will morph into our next trimester because they learn skills that they might possibly use in their impact time. And impact time is, again, where they get to be in the driver's seat, and as a group, we kind of choose a project of what they want to learn and where they want to go. Last year, some of our examples were, now that I just said that, they all left my head.
For impact time?
Uh-huh.
We had some students that wanted to continue on with the senior citizens and helping them. We did a coat drive or
And I had a student that wanted to learn how to make cookies all by herself, and that was her impact project. We had another one who loved science, and so he wanted to teach others science, other 2nd graders, and so he went to his teacher and said, what's the 2nd grade science standard that I can teach? And he created a video that he learned how to do here, made a science lesson and gave it to his teacher so she could use it in the classroom to help others how to do that about velocity. So, I mean,
they chose things that they themselves were passionate about and had a connection with, and then implemented a project to serve others. With Discovery homework, I remember last year when we were creating this slideshow, we didn't even want to call it homework because I know there's a student last year, I said something along the lines of, hey, you need to turn in your homework. And the kid looked at me, we had homework? I said, yeah, and I explained what they were supposed to do. He said, oh yeah, I did that, here it is. And I said, well yeah, that's homework. And he said, oh, that's nothing like the homework I normally get. You know, so when we send home assignments to do, it's usually something that they are excited about. A lot of parents would email me and say, I don't know what's going on. My child comes home excited to do it, and they do it all by themselves without any help. But we try to come up with things that is going to be meaningful for them. It's not going to be busy work. If something comes home, there's a purpose. And if you're unsure of what the purpose is, please reach out and ask so we can help scaffold that a little bit better. Our goal, do we have yeah, we'll get to that. Our goal is to make it so that students can go home and the type of support they need from you would be guide on the side. You don't need to sit down with them and work through things with them. We should have prepared them enough in class to be able to do it at home without help. Your goal would be to help them remember that they need to do it, or set aside a time each week where they need to do it, and where maybe a spot in the house. You know, that type of support is really what we're aiming for. And if there is more support needed than that, that's what we want to know so we can adapt. We did a survey, I'll show you in a little bit here. We did a survey last year of parents and how much time they were having to put into helping their child and how much energy and whatnot, and we'll show you the results there. We want honest feedback. We want raw feedback from you guys so that we can keep changing and adapting and making it really, really productive for the students.
I'm going to tattle on Mrs. Jones. Last year she had a student who the home life of one of her students for one reason or another was just really hard. And so she would go over before and after school and meet with this student and try and help support him. And we are willing to do that. And so she was the guide on the side and met with the teacher, the classroom teacher, and they were trying to work together to help this child still be successful, even though at home he wasn't able to get that. Now, having said that, if every single home were like that, we'd probably have to change our game plan. But we are willing to do whatever it takes. I feel like that we want to be here for you, so please. And we did have some parents sit down with us and say, you know, we feel like you're putting too much on us. Great, tell us what we're putting on too much on it. And we sincerely would rather have you talk to us than talk to a Facebook page or your neighbors. And
it should be an exciting thing for the students.
Yeah.
The homework isn't meant, homework normally has a negative connotation. This should be something that they're excited to go home about and come back and share as a group. There's purpose to it. We're pre-teaching. The assignments are typically pre-teaching and leading into what we're doing in the next class period. It's laying a foundation for them, so they should be excited. And if they're not, we need to know that. So, it's per week. You shouldn't do more than 1 hour per week. And we did a survey once again, and most parents said, it was never more than 1 hour. I think we had 1%. It was like, yeah, it was, but it shouldn't be. If it is, stop there. Cut it at the hour mark. Don't do any more than that. And even then, a lot of parents told me, they're like, well, it's hard filling out that survey because most of the year it was maybe 10 to 15 minutes per week total. 10 to 15 minutes. They said they only did the hour because our STEM unit did require a little bit more work at home of online learning. And so the STEM unit, it was more heavy, but the rest of the year, 10 to 15 minutes per week.
And there is a difference between spending time to accomplish the goal and getting lost in the enjoyment of it and spending hours on it. Because when we were doing robotics, some kids were spending hours on it. That wasn't us asking them to do that, okay? So as a parent, if you don't have hours at home for them to be doing robotics, then you cut it off after an hour and say, remember, we only do it for an hour. And if they have time to do more, then,
sure.
But sometimes that's why we like to have conversations with you if it's going longer than an hour. Is it because they're getting distracted and aren't able to just get to, concentrate and get it done? Is it because they just wanted to go deeper, but it wasn't really the assignment to go deeper? So that's something.
Yep. Okay.
Yep, and communicate before it snowballs. All right. So here are our surveys. This survey right here, the question was, what was the average time of homework spent each week? And so you can see that the purple little 1% was more than 60 minutes to complete the required assignment, and more than 10%, about 10% said more than 60 minutes by choice. So that will help you see what the parents last year felt like our program was as far as homework goes. This is a representation of Discovery Home assignments have been mostly independent for my child. So this is something that Mrs. Jones and I are taking into strong consideration. That was good feedback for us. We had thought that this would be more like 75%. It wasn't. So that was good feedback for us. We're going to try and make some adjustments this year.
Blue, lots more blue there.
Needing some home support. All right. So, and then requiring regular assistance, again, was really small. And one parent had another comment that I'm not sure if I remember what it was. Oh, whoops. That wasn't where I used to go. Okay, and this last one was, in my opinion, the home assignments for Discovery have been mostly applicable extension that scaffolds and encourages learning, busy work, and other. So I hope you kind of get the feel that the feedback we've been getting is that homework is very much productive and meaningful. We don't believe in busy work. For Discovery, we would appreciate it if you could send your child with a 1-inch binder and a pencil pouch. If that's not something that your family can do right now, let us know and we will make sure that they have that. The binder goes back and forth every week. That probably is the hardest assignment. And so we talk about it and brainstorm it, and everyone tells what works for them. One of the best top hints is pull it out at home, do it, and put it back in your backpack and leave it in your backpack all week long until Discovery. So I don't know what will work for you, but that is probably your hardest assignment, is having you and your child sit down and say, how do we get this binder back to class on Discovery Day? Most of our resources, like for instance, sometimes we'll ask them to go home and watch a video and then decide what they think the best path would be if they were that child in that video or something like that. We will email this to you. We will be letting you know, but on our website, exploreimpact.org, you will see at the top there is a Discovery tab, and when you click that weekly activity,
see, we use weekly activity instead of homework.
Not homework, weekly activity. There's all the resources you're going to need. There's links to articles, there's links to videos. This might be where the parents said that they need a little bit of assistance because a lot of second grade students aren't going to hop on their home computer and just move around, right? So, but we have that on this website.
And that'll all be wiped for, we'll start fresh.
We'll start with a fresh page.
But,
so that's last year's program. So anyway.
Well, and we really love parent involvement, of course. Everyone's so busy, so know that we don't expect it, of course. But if you would like to come, even if it's not to help, if you just want to come and even observe, we welcome you to our classrooms and come see what we do. If you are able to help, especially during impact time, I'd say that's the time that we especially assist, that last trimester. If you're able to donate a little bit of time, even if it's just once, even if it's not weekly, we welcome you. Here are the schedules and the times that will be at different schools. For your child's specific time, we didn't write the grade. For specific times, we'll be sending out emails here the next week, so you'll know exactly when your child's time is and everything.
Another example, last year I had two boys that they were trying to merge their passions. One loved to run and one loved obstacle courses. And I just looked down and thought, good luck. What are you going to do, guys? So they really wanted to work together. And the next thing you knew, they created an obstacle course race, fundraiser. And in order to come to the obstacle course race, you had to bring a pair of gently used shoes that they could give to the Family Crisis Center to give to people who don't have shoes. So they researched obstacle courses and what they could do with their things. Their parents came and helped run the race. They learned about advertising. They learned how to make flyers through the STEM on trimester 2 that they incorporated, and they were using Adobe and making flyers. I was like so worried that no one would show. They had over 200 people come. It was amazing. So that was a big project, and
that Littles
facilitated. Yeah, it was really fun.
That happened because of the scaffolding. So the types of assignments that we do, the type of rigor that we include in trimester 1 and trimester 2 are fairly guided because we're trying to give them the tools and the skills they need to be able to, last trimester, create something on their own. And so it all builds on each other, and we scaffold quite a bit there. So there's a purpose for everything. We really want to thank you for being here tonight. We know it's super, super busy. And I hope we've made it clear enough. Open door. Please call. Any questions at all? Any questions, comments, feedback? We want to hear it, because our purpose of being here is truly for your children. And if we're not meeting their needs, then we're not doing our job. So please do reach out.
And Mrs. Jones is a facilitator at Adams and at South Fork and at Lincoln. And myself, Sheree Barton, I'm the facilitator at Burton, Hibbard, and Kennedy. I think twice. We also help support and scaffold the AIM programs at the middle school. So we have an office at the middle school as well. So we have many hats and we love it. So thank you. Questions before we let you go? Yes?
Do you need the student signature here?
I think you can do that for them. We'll let you forge this time. No, I'm just kidding. Go home and tell them everything we said tonight, and then they can go. Just kidding. Any other questions? All right. Thank you for being here. Oh yeah, Mr. Here. Yes.
Just a quick question. If they don't have their check tonight, or they don't have their money tonight, how do they get that to you?
You can come to the school district office, and when you come in the main doors you came in tonight, and you just keep going down this hall and take a left. Special service doors there. You can pay at special services, and I think we include that in the email.
Yeah,
but
it should be in the email.
Yeah.
And there's an address if you prefer to mail it.
And the due date is
This Friday.
yes.
This Friday.
What's today? Tuesday. Oh yeah, it is.
Yep, the 3rd, September 3rd.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
into September.
Yes.
Good question. We'll be starting the week of the 13th, September 13th.
We need to find how many in our groups and get our stuff going together. So,
One more question.
yes.
Is it combined with the older grades?
Oh, good
So will
question.
they be scaffold learning with the older children?
It depends. It depends at each school and their needs, and based on their cognitive abilities and everything. Every year it's going to look different. So I almost don't even want to say, there's not a clear-cut answer.
But I am going to say when we
But
combine
we do-
grades, we keep smaller numbers. So for instance, at Hibbard, I have second and third graders combined and one fourth grader, I think. But I have a really small group. When we have larger groups, like at Kennedy and at Burton, did I say those right? Yeah. I service second graders alone and third and fourth grade together. We are a second and third grade program, and if a child, we're still working through this. Our fourth grade program is AIM at the middle school, but we have been servicing some students at the elementary that have chosen not to go to the middle school as a fourth grader. So we're doing that right now, but like I said, we're evolving. We're trying to figure out what's best.
We've got to figure out what's best for the students
Yeah.
and helping
So-
them.
Small means, I think my largest group is 10 or 11,
I think you have
12 and 1. 12 and 1. And when we combine grades, we have more like 6 or 7.
Yeah. When we combine grades, we try not to go more than 8. But if there's a need,
Yeah,
there's those students that need it, we're going to service them.
it's all about,
To make it work.
and that's why we have to kind of do it geographically, because we have to look at each school individually. We can't just say, our district has this cut score, because that would be really, I think, doing a disservice to a lot of kids. So, anyway, thanks for your questions. More now that you have time to think?
If you have further questions, you guys you're welcome to go. And if you have questions,
And
stay
Mrs.
after
Jones
and
left a
talk to
piece of
us.
paper out there too that you can grab with our contact stuff
Yes.
out there. Thank you for coming. We
Thank you
appreciate
so
you.
much.
Thanks for supporting this program.